Yes, welcome along to episode 10 of Upping The Ante in association with Bet365 with David Jennings and Gavin Lynch, counting down to the 2022 Cheltenham Festival. And yes, you can see we're apart again. Devastated once again I am this week because I'm without my partner in crime, Gavin Lynch, who is speaking from his home in County Meath. Gavin, you're in isolation. How has your week been?
Yeah, not too bad. In isolation for a few days, Dave, but sure, look, that's the way of the world at the minute. So, yeah.
You're better off getting it over and done with, Gavin. You're just better off getting it out of the way. Absolutely. And tell me this, have you nearly killed each other there?
No, we're not too bad. Still looking at videos and backing a few horses, yeah.
So, yeah, your life actually hasn't changed being in isolation. You may just stay in isolation for 12 months of the year, really.
Yeah, well, sure, I work from home anyway, so it's not the end of the world.
Tell me this, Upping The Ante viewers want to know, how has your punting week been?
I've been good form for the last few weeks, which is great, but the last weekend was bad. Fairy House was very poor. I had a bad day, worst day I've had in a while. So Sunday evening, feeling a bit sorry for myself. And then good old Nina Carberry cheered me up. We've two teenage daughters, so we always try and get a programme to watch with them. And Dance with the Stars was on RT on Sunday night at 6:30. And there was 12 in the competition. There was 6 on Sunday, 6 next weekend. It's going on, I think, till another 10 weeks till Cheltenham time. But anyway, Nina was brilliant. She scored the highest mark so far, so good on her. She was class. I was shouting at the television. And the one thing that's amazing, Dave, is that I don't know how she's so good at dancing, because I've seen Paul Carberry, her famous brother, dancing plenty of times in Swans and Screen, and he can't dance.
So it's not in the family?
No.
Yeah, no, for British viewers that might be watching, this is our Strictly Come Dancing equivalent. And it turns out Nina Carberry is exceptional. Well, I don't know why anybody is surprised, because she's just brilliant at everything, but she was really, really good. I'll have to agree with you there, Gavin. Yeah,
no, she was great. Really good.
Okay, so that's the end of the dancing chat. We're going to get on with the racing chat. So we'll get on with the show. So as ever here on Upping The Ante, we kick off with our questions from the crowd. And the first question this week comes in from Patrick Carson. And he wants us to describe Constitution Hill in one word. And he also says it's 9-4 with some firms, 15-8 with Bet365. Is that not way too big, Gavin?
Yeah, the word I use, really good. I know, I'm only joking. He's exciting. He's a dude of a horse. He's lovely and relaxed. I love his personality, but I just think in 15-8 he's a bit short, personally.
I think he's deadly. Deadly would be the word I'd use, because
deadly,
everything about him is just deadly. The way he settles, the way he jumps, the way he quickens. And I just thought the camera angle at Sandown really did him justice, because after the second last, when you're kind of up close with him, when he pinged the second last and he just kicks on, I think this year especially, we said it last week, but we are blessed with so many really good novices, and certainly over hurdles, I think he's the best of them. Could he win a champion hurdle, Gavin?
He could. I think Nicky's talking about more going chasing with him and John Bunn. Maybe Sir Gerhard will as well. But yeah, it's going to be a very good Supreme. Last year's was poor when Appreciated bolted up. We haven't had a good Supreme for a couple of years, so this looks like being a red hot one. I just think 15-8 Constitution Hill is a bit short, but we'll talk about him in the week that was later.
Okay. I don't think 15-8 is too short. I think that's perfectly fair. So there you go, Patrick. Me and Gavin disagreeing. What's new? Our next question this week comes in from Johnny Campbell. And Johnny wants us to rank Willie Mullins' top 5 novice chasers, Gavin, in order. So from 5 down to 1. 5 novice chasers from the Willie Mullins stable. Take it away.
Now, usually when you ask me a question, I end up giving you more than what you were looking for. So I'm going to
do it again. Just five, please, Gavin. Just 5.
I'm going to give you 10, because Willie's had a brilliant start of the season for novice chasers, and I'd also say that they've all jumped very well, so good on them. So
number 10.
Remember Bullseye, no?
I do. In 10.
No, don't do that 10 times. In 10, on baton number 10. 9, I'm going to go with Statler. 8, I'm going to go with Concertista. 7, I'm going to with Hold On Couleur. 6, Capodanno. And then joint 4th, I'm not sure which yet, between Junkabuki and St. Sam. 3, Blue Lord. 2, Fernie Hollow. And 1, who else? Gallopin de Champ.
Obviously, yeah. Wow. Yours is completely different to mine. Well, almost.
That's 10. So it just shows you've got a strong hand.
Do you remember when Bully used to come across the screen?
Oh, yeah.
Like so my number 5 is Statler. I'm surprised you have Statler so low. No, my number 5 is Statler. My number 4 is Fernie Hollow. I just think long term, I think Blue Lord could turn out to be a better horse than Fernie Hollow. So number 3, Blue Lord. Number 2, Hot on Calares is my number 2. And number 1 is Galloping the Champ.
As Jim Bowen would say, super, terrific, tremendous. I can't believe you got Fernie Hollow number 4, but anyway, that's a bit of a rick.
Maybe. I don't know. I just think Hot on Calares, I think, is definitely underestimated. I think Blue Lord has been exceptional in the jumping department, and I definitely think you've Statler too low, Gavin.
Tell me this, how about I give you a guess where the 10 might run, but this will probably be wrong. But
go for it, take it away.
I think that he'll run Fernie Hollow and Blue Lord in the Arkle. I think he'll run 3 maybe in the Turners, which is St. Sam, Jungle Boogie and Hot on Calares. That's a total guess. I think Galloping the Champ will go for the Brown Advisory, along with either a Statler or a Capodanno. And then whichever one of those doesn't go there, might join on Baton for the National Hunt Chase. And I have a sneaking suspicion Concertiste will go for the Mayor's Chase.
Yeah, I'd say you got the final part of that right anyway, Gavin. But that's some good insight there, Gavin. That question worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, that was a good question. Thanks very much, Johnny. And our final question this week comes in from Rosie Kavanagh. And Rosie wants to know, Gavin, at this stage, what is the best Ante Post bet you have placed for the 2022 Cheltenham Festival? I know there's probably plenty to choose from.
Well, there's certainly plenty of bets done anyway. I think if the guts of 50 multiples done. Personally, I prefer to be looking at the multiples than the singles. One thing people hate is listening to somebody harping on about a great bet they've done. Like, that's just...
But you're going to anyway.
I shouldn't. But so some of the multiples are bad and some of them are good. I'll give you one. I did a bet, a treble, Fernie Hollow 8-1, Bob Ollinger 3-1, and Galloping the Champ 13-2. But like, I wouldn't even get excited about that yet at all. Like, that's not going to happen. They're not going to all win. So isn't it a lovely bet to look forward to for a couple of months and talk about it? But
it is.
Look at it.
You could be back next January doing the show from the Dominican Republic again.
Look at, as I said, them bets don't really happen. We saw last year what happened with Envoy Allen. He was the third leg for a lot of people's trebles in the novice chases. So I've gone for the same 3 races again. I just think with the novice chases, you have a bit of a chance in October compared to the novice hurdles. Like, you know, nobody would have heard of Constitution Hill literally a couple of months ago. So, but I think with the novice chases, come next October, you've seen Ballymore winner, the Supreme winner, the Bartlett, etc., etc. So it's not a bad way to look at it.
And tell me this, the final part of this question. For Gavin Lynch's bank account and for your Ante Post portfolio, just give me the name of one horse that you need to win at Cheltenham in March.
Need would be the wrong word, but sure, look, life will continue even if you lose money at Cheltenham. But I suppose Fernie Hollow would be nice. Okay,
so Fernie Hollow in the Arkle. That's a nice treble, Gavin. I hope you get it up. So Upping the Ante viewers, now it's time for the week that was, yes, where Gavin Lynch gets to tell you all about the horses who have caught his eye over the last 7 days. And Gavin, I'd say you've had a few spare hours free because I wouldn't say you've been too busy watching videos. It's been quite a quiet week.
Quite enough week, yeah. So yesterday, Monday, I didn't have to look at 40 videos like normal. So we're going to start with Clonmel on Thursday with a very nice horse called Dino Blue. I'm sure you've seen her, Dave. She's 10-1 now for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. She's a half sister to Blue Sari. She travelled great. She jumped great. She bolted up. She beat 2 of her stablemates, La Prima Donna and My Lighthouse, by 15 lengths and 4 lengths. The ground was very, very heavy, so be interesting to see. I'd say she needs maybe another run before Cheltenham, but she looked very good. She beat 2 other 2-mile races, which were poor enough events, by 7 seconds and 12 seconds. So the time was very fast. So she's definitely one to consider.
Were you in on the gamble, Gavin?
Late on, I got a bit of word for it, but at that stage, the horse was even money. So anyway, better than a loser.
Yes, yes is the answer to that question then. Yes.
Sandown on Saturday, Martello Sky. The first thing to mention is that Galwa, who went off 5-6, ran poorly and was beaten 45 lengths. So that was a bit strange. But then again, mares can do that. Martello Sky beat anything for love and Sky Ace by 1 3/4 lengths and 4 3/4. She looked in trouble at halfway. She wasn't travelling that well. I'm sure she touched 10 or 12 to 1 and running. She has an official rating of 144. So she's now 10-1 for the Mayor's Hurdle, and she has to go there with a chance. She was well beaten in last year's Mayor's Novice Hurdle, but obviously she's improving all the time. She did beat Indefatigable the last time at Cheltenham, so she's very decent. We mentioned Constitution Hill earlier. He's obviously the main talking horse from last weekend. Featured 12 by 12 lengths. Look at the one thing you'd say is the Tolworth isn't the best form guide for the Supreme. I think one winner of the last 10, Sunny Hill Boy, was it? No, What was the name of the
No,
horse?
it was the Tom George horse. Go on, I'll think of it. Go on, continue.
But anyway, so for example, Metier won this race last year by 12 lengths and was ended up beating 35 lengths in the Supreme. So just be careful, especially on that ground. The ground was really, really deep. It jumped brilliant. It's got a great attitude. It's got a brilliant turn of foot. We've seen that the last day. Just to mention on the clock,
Somerville boy. Sorry.
Somerville boy. That's it. Well done. Good old Google. So the only race you can compare it to on Saturday is Moulin Clermont, who is a 4-year-old. That was carrying 10 stone 12. Constitution Hill was carrying 11.7, but 4-year-olds would always carry a bit less. The time was only okay. It was 2.5 seconds quicker than the 4-year-old. Same from the last. 4 lengths quicker from 2 out. 8 lengths quicker from 3 out. Moulin Clermont was third in France. It was beaten 32 lengths at Font 12, but won very easy at Sandown on Saturday, and has a Racing Post rating from Saturday of 120. So I just wouldn't get carried away necessarily. I think it was a poor race. The Grade 1, the Tolworth, the Constitution Hill 1. Visually very impressive, but I just don't know about substance. The thing that would worry me a little bit about him is inexperience. He did win a point-to-point. So did John Bond. So did Sir Gerhard. So I went and looked at his point-to-point in Tipperary to see.
Would have won. If he jumped the last, he would have won.
He would. But the one thing I wanted to check was he's won twice right-handed. The point-to-point was left-handed. He jumped straight. So supports to Constitution Hill, that's good. He didn't jump out to his right, which would be a worry. But
just on experience, Gavin, you talk about the inexperience would worry you a little bit. Like, yes. He just looks like you could throw him into a Grand National and he'd be grand. Like, he just looks the type that, a young horse. He's like, the way when you were growing up and you were a teenager, I was a real timid teenager. And when I used to go out, I'd be petrified and real nervous to talk to girls and like didn't want to even look at anybody and was just really nervous and spotty and just not a good teenager. And then some of your mates, I had a mate, Jerry, that would just go out and like, he just owned the place. It was just like he'd been going out all his life and he just was real, confident, real relaxed. And he looked like he should have been in the pub all his life. That for me is Constitution Hill. I think you could throw him in anywhere.
That's fair enough, but you're just not going to win a race like the Supreme hard on the bridle like he has done twice. There's no substitute for runs and runs. Like
hold on a second. He hasn't won either race hard on the bridle. He's been pushed out, Gavin.
I still think 2 runs is not a lot. Particularly, they were a poor enough race that I know he beat your horse, Might I. That was a Grade 1 on Saturday, but really was it a Grade 1? I just think, for example, John Bonnet's had 3 runs on the track plus the point-to-point. Sir Gerhard's had 5 runs on the track plus the point-to-point. So I think that's a little advantage that they have.
But on the John Bond thing, do you not think what Constitution Hill has done, as in at least they're reasonably strongly run races compared to John Bond's 1 mile sprint kind of thing? Would you not prefer what Constitution Hill has been through?
I accept that with John Bond. The first couple of furlongs were a walk on both races. In Newbury and in Ascot. But I just think that the race he won in Ascot was a much better race than the Tolworth. Like the horse that were second and third, and maybe even fourth, I think they all could have won the Tolworth personally. But so you think Conal
Mustard could have won the Tolworth?
Absolutely, yeah.
If Constitution Hill wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
We'll move on to Cork on Saturday. A 4-year-old called Ebasari. He was only rated 69 in the flat from Michael Halford. He was 0 from 6 in the flat. But this was a really taken performance. For a 4-year-old to go and beat an older horse, I know he was getting £13 from Adamantly Chosen, but they did finish 27 lengths clear of the rest. Adamantly Chosen won the Gossland Rover Bumper at Punchestown. That race has worked out well. There's been a lot of winners from it. Adamantly Chosen had a run against Gringo Dobrella Fairyhouse. So he had the experience. Ebasari jumped brilliant, travelled really well. I just think that was a very taken performance for a 4-year-old to beat an older horse.
I'd agree. Hell of a run.
And also, I did a comparison between Ebasari and all those years that won the first race. And from the last home, he was 4 lengths quicker. From 2 out, 8 lengths quicker. From the second last, 12 lengths quicker. So the time was quite good. So I just think Ebasari could be quite decent. Ante Fairyhouse on Sunday. And we'll talk about the 4-year-old conditions race. Britska and White Pepper. This is why I wanted to wait until the third run, but you forced me into it last week, and I'm only joking. Britska was very, very poor. Like, You told me that you were up there and you thought the horse was gone after a hurdle or two, did you?
This is going to sound ridiculous, and this everybody will say it's after time, and it is to an extent because he could have went and won the race. But in the stands, when he passed me the first time, I thought Davy was really squeezing and just trying to get a gig out of him. Like a car on a frosty morning. That's to me what it was like. He just wasn't happy. It's 3 quick runs, and especially 2 very quick runs from Christmas to Fairyhouse. Bet365, we tipped him up on last week's show, 20-1 Bet365. They pushed him out to 33-1, which I thought was utterly bonkers. I wouldn't be reading too much into that run at all. Like, he was beaten after a furlong, and there's people, idiots on Twitter, saying, he wasn't off, he wasn't trying. What was Davy Russell at? Davy couldn't get a gig out of him. The horse wasn't right. Gordon has plenty of time now to get him right for the Boodles, and he might not quite be the horse that we thought he might be. We were hoping, obviously, he'd win on Sunday, but 33-1 Bet365, I think it's into 25s now. I still think that's a massive price.
The one thing I noticed when they were coming down from Ballyhack, say around halfway, Davy was 6 or 8 lengths off them, and I said to myself, what's going on? Are they trying to protect his handicap rating? But he wasn't, because when he turned in, he was pushing and shoving, and he found nothing. So it was 15 days from Fairyhouse to Leopardstown, and then it was 14 days from Leopardstown to Sunday. So 3 runs in 29 days. The one thing I would say about Willie Mullins, Gordon Elliott and Henry and the big trainers is they generally have a rule that they don't run horses maybe every 21, 28 days. It's generally once a month to keep them nice and fresh for each run. So to have 3 runs that quickly, not like Gordon, to say the least. So hopefully he's better than that. He certainly looked a lot better than that. He was a big eye catcher at Christmas for me anyway. So
we're not giving up, Gavin. We're not giving up.
No, but that was a terrible run. But yeah, we're not giving up.
You know what that is? You know what that is, Gavin? It's karma. It's karma for you stealing my notes.
Correct. White Pepper beat Faye by 2 lengths. And actually, if you go through the form of Faye and Britska, the 2 of them had been well beaten by Phil Dore, so Britska definitely should have been involved in the finish. Had beaten Ibrick to Soy by 13 lengths of Galway and won again quite well. So she's 25-1 for the Triumph and 16-1 for the Boodles. On to the Dan and Joan Moore Memorial Handicap Chase. This is literally the biggest 2-mile handicap chase in Ireland for the whole winter, isn't it? It's an £80,000 race. We gave the viewers the first and second with Dunvegan and Black Bow, but to me, there's no clue there for the Grand Annual personally. I think that Dunvegan and Black Bow, they'll be too high to go and win a Grand Annual. Dunvegan is better right-handed. He's 4 from 4 at the track, so I can't even see him going to Cheltenham. And the last one to talk about is St. Sam. He's only just turned 5. This was a very decent performance. He beat the Devil's Coachman by 9 lengths, another length and a quarter to Elbarra. You have to remember that the Devil's Coachman was only beaten just over 6 lengths by Fernie Hull and Punchestown, and that Elbarra was only beaten 5.5 lengths by Blue Lord at Fairyhouse. So for St. Sam to beat them easier than those 2 is good form. It was also, they had the experience over fences. He jumped very well. To me, he bolted up in the end. I think he won't go for the Arkle. I think he'll go for the Turners over 2.5. This was 2-1. And also, I did a time comparison between St. Sam and Dunvegan. Very similar the whole way around. The overall time was quicker for Dunvegan, but from the last home, they were the same. From 4 out, there was only 4 lengths between them. And you have to remember that St. Sam carried 10 pounds more than Dunvegan. So I think he's a good horse. And also, just to mention, JP with the cross country, that Easy's Land has gone to John Joe. And Prengard, he now owns that. It's won its last 5 over the cross country fences in France. So I think he's now 5 or 6-1 kind of joint favourite with Tiger Oak the cross country. But that's the week it was, Dave.
And goes to Ende Bulger, so that will be interesting if he goes for the cross country in March. That was the week there was. A shorter version this week, Gavin, but you still packed a lot in. Well done. So, folks, each week here on Upping The Ante, we preview one of the greater races at the Cheltenham Festival. And this time, it is the turn of the artist formerly known as the Marsh and the JLT. And what was it called before the JLT?
Oh, I can't remember.
It was called something else before that, but it is now the Turners Novice Chase, and it could be an absolute belter this year. At the moment, with Bet365, Bob Ollinger 6-4 favourite. Brave Man's Game, who could be going to the Brown Advisory, formerly the RSA, formerly the Royal and Sun Alliance Novice Chase, is 6-1. Galloping the Shams could be going down the same route as 6-1 as well. Long Press 8-1 looks like he's going here. Jungle Boogie is 10-1. Fernie Hollow will probably go for the Arkle, you'd imagine, is 12-1. Blue Lord also probably going for the Arkle, is 12-1. And Concertista probably going for the Mayor's Chase, is 12-1. It's 16-1 bar. So, Gavin, I kind of mentioned it in the prices here. There are a lot of horses in the top 10 in the betting with Bet365 that are not going to run here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, Braven's Game Galloping will go 3 mile, you'd imagine. And Fernie and Blue Lord will go for the Arkle. Bob Bollinger, it all circulates around him. He was brilliant in the Ballymore. His chase debut in Gorham Park, I thought it was good. He made 1 or 2 mistakes. Not everybody was delighted with him, but I would have given him at least an 8 out of 10. And the race revolves around him. He's hopefully going to run this Sunday in Punchestown in the graded 2.5 mile novice chase. So the entries are coming out this afternoon, and all eyes will be on to see if he's entered. Yeah,
he's hopefully running the same race won by the artist formerly known as himself. NVLN won it last year when Asteria Falange fell at the first. But with him, Gavin, are you at all concerned that we haven't seen a bit more of him, or are you happy with, the run in Goran, the run here, and then Cheltenham? Does that do you?
It's not ideal. He was entered in Ascot in 1 or 2 places in the 5-day decks. He could have ran at Limerick at Christmas in the Grade 1. Is it Stephen's Day on the 26th? So to go from Gorham Park and to run here and then straight to Cheltenham, no, it's not ideal. Generally 3 runs is preferred. But then again, Galloping the Champ, who's 7-4 to win the Brown Advisory, he's not going to get 3 runs in beforehand as well. So hopefully Bob jumps very, very well on Sunday if he runs. And if he does, well then he'll be even money next week.
And mixed messages about the form in Goran. Ashley Bob has been a bit disappointing since, but Master McShee came out and won the Grade 1 at Limerick. So there is a bit of substance to the form, and he won very easily, didn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the form in Gorham Park, whether it's good or bad. We know that Bob Bollinger is a brilliant horse. We've seen it last year, what he did in the Ballymore. So you don't really have to necessarily analyse the Gorham Park run. We know he's top drawer. So it comes down to his jumping. Is he fit? Is he well? And yeah, I'd say there'd be a lot of people watching him on Sunday.
There certainly will. Now, there's a lot of people, Gavin, who thinks we are anti-British. We think, the show revolves around Irish horses and we don't give the home team the respect that they deserve. So that brings me on to Lon Press, who is 8-1 after a brilliant performance in the Dipper at Cheltenham at Christmas or on New Year's Day. Is he the type of horse that should be shorter, considering there are so many likely non-runners from the list that I just read out?
I think 8-1 is about the right price. He's 3 from 3 over fences. He was much better going left-handed the last day in the Dipper, as you said. Beat the Glancing Queen by 10 lengths, giving her £7. Yeah, he looks really good. Is he just up to beating a horse like Bob Bollinger? I'm not so sure. But guaranteed to be there turning in. If you want to back Lon Press each way, I wouldn't stop you. Should be in the first 3 or 4. But is he going to win? I don't know.
Now, I'm intrigued to find out what you think of Jungle Boogie, because I would say of all the horses Willie Mullins has in training, I have not got a clue how good Jungle Boogie is. I have no idea whatsoever. Nothing, nada. Haven't a clue. For all I know, he could be Arkle or he could be Mr. Coffee. I have no idea. What do you think?
I think he's very good. He's unbeaten. He won a bumper. He won a maiden hurdle by 30 lengths. To me, he was very impressive in Ferrier's win his beginner's chase. It wasn't the worst contest in the world and he won it very easy. I think he'll go here. I think maybe Hold On Colour could go here, and I think St. Sam could go here. So that's 3 for Willie, and I think they're all very, very good, and I definitely wouldn't dismiss St. Sam. I think he's quite good. And I just wonder, will Dusart, who's due to run tomorrow, would he go here, Dave? I know you tipped him for the Arkle, but he's entered over 2-6 tomorrow, so do you think he might go here?
Yeah, I thought it's obviously a 3-runner race at Leicester. You'd imagine he should win. The fact that he's over that trip suggests that that Nicky thinks he's obviously more of a stayer than a speed horse. If he's running over that trip, you'd imagine he could go here, and that would make him reasonably interesting from an each-way perspective here, because, Gavin, there has to be each-way value somewhere here, is there?
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in the 3 Willie horses. And what are the Jungle Boogie is 10s, Hold On Colour 16s, and St. Sam at 20s. It's just whichever one you prefer yourself. But
I'd go for Hot On Colours at 16-1 for me is the each-way play here.
Yeah, if I had to pick, I'd maybe go for St. Sam. But Bob Bollinger will shed a lot of light in this race come Sunday, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about Bob. So, of course, what you want to know now is what's happening this week. We've got some very interesting graded action at Kempton and at Warwick, and we're going to start at Warwick. The 150 is the Wiggly Group Hampton Novices Chase. It's a grade 2, and we're likely to see 3 under through 5, something Gavin Lynch is most times he plays golf, for Paul Nichols and Adrian Heskin. Looks like he's going to be very hard to beat, Gavin.
Yeah, he was okay the last day in Doncaster. He wasn't like blow you away, but in the end he won easy. He made 1 or 2 mistakes early on, but he was quite decent. Corach Rambler looks like he's going to go, I think, for the classic handicap chase. I was reading yesterday, so if you take him out, 300 through 5 could be even money. So maybe him. I probably won't have a bet, but probably him. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he'll win, but I'm very interested to see how Mossy Fenn gets on. First round for Christian Williams. Like, this horse was a good novice herder, and when you see the size of him, you'd say to yourself, sure, he has to be much better over fences, but it's just been a tale of woe so far. But I do think he got a bit of a fright one day at Cheltenham, and I think he's feeling the effects of it. I think you could see a different Mossy Fenn if he runs here, so he's reasonably interesting, but I thought 3 under through 5 would win. The 225 is the Ballymore Leamington Novices Hurdle. This is always a fairly informative affair. And my Ante Post Tip for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle is in here, LA Bell. And you got the likes of Surrey Quest, who I thought was interesting, Gavin.
Yeah, I personally probably go for LA Bell if she goes here. Will she stay 2 miles 5? Nobody knows, but she certainly stayed on very well the last day in Ascot behind John Bond, etc. So maybe her. I'm not sure if she's going to run here, but Gelino Bello was entered in this, but I think it's probably going to go in the Lanzarote handicap hurdle. And people who have backed Blazing Cal like me will be interested to see how that goes this weekend.
Yeah, Viva La Vila runs here for Dan Skelton and Harry Selton. Second to Lozzie Mount, who has let the form down in the grade 2 at Sandown. I thought that could run well, but I thought Surrey Quest. I was quite impressed with Surrey Quest last time. I think he juiced an RPR of 144. And even the time before that at Leicester, when he beat an odds-on shot, I thought that was a really good run. So I just about be siding with Surrey Quest, I would, Gavin. Okay. Moving across to Kempton, and the 205 is the Coral Silviniaco Conti. Do you know, he's one horse I could never pronounce properly, Gavin. Silviniaco Conti. And I actually watched the Gold Cup, and I think it was Mark Johnson. One year, do you remember the mad Gold Cup with Lord Windermere?
Oh, yeah.
Lord Windermere.
Gold Cup.
No, not the best Gold Cup. Bobsworth was in it, and Lord Windermere won it and beat on his own. But I think it was Mark Johnson. Pronounced his name wrong the whole way through, and I have sympathy for Mark because Silviniaco Conti is not an easy word to say. But in the Silviniaco Conti chase, it's a grade 2. It looks like it's going to be a cracker, Gavin. Dashel Thrasher, Eldorado Allen, Mr. Tommy Tucker, Mr. Fisher, Defy Desai, Fanion Destrival, Rouge Vif. What do you like here?
There'll be plenty of pace on anyway with Dashel Thrasher and Master Tommy Tucker, etc. Maybe Fanion Destrival won very, very easy. The last day off 151 is now up to 159. Fair enough, that was only a handicap, but still, he's only a 7-year-old, and he's the one that maybe is open to most improvement. He did jump a dot to his right the last day, so I went this morning and had a look at him going in Ascot, and he jumped straight. So don't let that worry you. So maybe 9-4. He's probably a bit short, but maybe Fanion Destrival. And yourself?
Sure. Is Mr. Fisher not better than these? No.
You love that horse.
Well,
is he your cliff horse? Is he?
Yeah, he is. Sure, like I don't know. I think he's very good when he's on his day, but he's just there hasn't been too many days. Like I'm a good golfer. I'm a good golfer on my day, but like that day hasn't been since 2017. So Mr. Fisher's a bit the same, but like when things go right, I think he's better than these. So I'd be giving my Mr. Fisher another chance, Gavin. Sure.
One last chance.
If nothing, I'm loyal anyway, Gavin.
Sure.
The 240 at Kempton is the Coral Lanzarote Handicap Hurdle. And right place, right time is up there towards the top of the market with Bet365, who currently have Winter Fog. They're 11-2 favourite. Right place, right time is 7-1. Both owned by Mr. Paul Byrne for Emmett Mullins. Gelino Bello is 7-1. Marie's Rock is 8-1. Earth Lord 8-1. 9-1 Green Book. 9-1 Cobbler's Dream. 10-1 Chittibello. Don Levant up for parole, and 11-1 Bar. And I haven't even mentioned my fancy yet, Gavin. What do you like here?
Well, first thing to say is Gelino Bello off 138. I'd love to see him finish in the first 3 just to keep cement the Blazing Cal form, but 2.5 could be too short for him. I personally like Marie's Rock. I've always liked her. She's gone from 131 to 140. She's had 8 runs in her lifetime, but the last day was the first time that she'd stepped up and tripped beyond like 2.5 miles furlong. So she won over course and distance. She bolted up on Boxing Day as it was in Kempton that day. I think she's 3 to 4 pounds off the top weight, but Marie's Rock at 8-1 to me is very good value.
Okay, I like Quinta Demar. For Ben Pauling and Luca Morgan, I think is going to be riding. I thought he ran an absolute cracker last time at Cheltenham. Broomfield Berg was second, very impressive at Kempton on over Christmas. And that day, Quinta Demar, I just thought he needed a step up on trip. He was kind of off it a bit earlier than the principals. He was certainly off it a bit earlier than Broomfield Berg, but I thought off 135 in a race like this, flat track, right-handed. I'd imagine Ben Pauling has had this race in his head for quite a while. It's a valuable contest, and I think 12 to 1, and there's some 14 to 1 out there. I think Quinta Demar, I think, is a big price, Gavin.
So on Sunday then at Punchestown, Dave, we've got, obviously, we mentioned earlier, Bob Ollinger running the Kildare Novices Chase, the Grade 3. It'll be interesting to see who runs against him. We've the Moscow Flyer Novice Hurdle, 2 mile Grade 2, I think. That might shed a bit more light to see if we've got another candidate for that Brilliant Supreme. And the other thing to note is that Gordon Elliott has at this moment 17 horses entered in the UK at the weekend. That's simply, I'd say, for half of them to find out what rating they're going to have. For example, the ratings have come out there. The Braeside is 148. He's 145 in Ireland. So therefore now Gordon knows that he's not eligible for, say, the Kim Muir, which is an 0 to 145. So he has to decide with Braeside, is he going to go for the Ultima? Is he maybe going to go for the Midlands National in New Toxter on the Saturday? Or might he go to maybe Fairy House for the Irish Grand National, etc. So that's just Gordon planning ahead. That's why he needs to get to know the ratings. And
some very interesting runners in the Pertemps qualifier Warwick, Gavin.
Yeah, you were telling me the ratings there, Dave. Sire de Burley 158, Grandwa 150, Jamman 146, Tullybeg 140, Mr. Fred Rogers 138, Chemical Energy 137. I'd imagine he's more of a Martin Pipe horse than I doubt he'll run maybe. You've got some of the horses already qualified like Dunboyne, Falcano and Tullybeg. Tullybeg we mentioned 140. Falcano's got 135. And Dunboyne, who was a bit of an eye catcher at Christmas, 134. So, yeah, it's just... And the Jan man, by the way, I think you said to me, was 146. But it's good for Gordon to make a plan, and he has to start now, really.
So, it's going to be informative, Gavin. It's not the greatest week in the world, but we will learn a lot. There'll be plenty to talk about next week.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what's happening this week. So, folks, it's upping the stakes time, where myself and Gavin tried to raise some much-needed funds for Cancer Trials Ireland. And we achieved the feat last week somehow. I had 25 quid each way on Sir Ivan in the Veterans Final at Sandown. I had 25 each way 10 to 1 with Bet365. But they're not too bad, our folks at Bet365, Gavin. They were very, very nice to us indeed. They gave us a 22 to 1, Sir Ivan, the SP that he went off. So we 25 quid each way on Sir Ivan. We got 135 quid back. Ardhill, your selection didn't run, so we've got that as well. So we've got 185 quid in the kitty from last week. It's all good, Gavin. So we're going all right. We had a good start. We didn't have a great middle, but we're kicking back now. We're going into top gear, entering the final mile of the race. So this week, Gavin, what's your up in the stakes selection?
First of all, Dave, well done to you. Nice to have somebody in the kitty there again. And well done to Bet365 for giving you the bigger price, 22 to 1. That's very nice. I'm going to go for 25 each way. Marie's Rock and the Lanzarote, the handicap hurdle in Kempton on Saturday. She's had the 8 runs, as we mentioned. Only 1 run beyond roughly 2 miles, which was the last day. She seemed to enjoy the step up and trip. She's travelled very strong, switched out, won very easy. Gone from 131 to 140, so not easy for a mare to win off 140. But I think she'll run a big race. And actually, if she wins this, she probably would have to have a little bit of a squeak in the mare's hurdle at Cheltenham. So, yeah, 25 each way, Maria's Rock at 8 to 1.
Okay, Gavin, I'm taking you on in the Lanzarote hurdle at 240. I'm taking you on, and because you're going each way, and hopefully, like worst case scenario, Marie's Rock is placed, I'm going to go 50 quid on the nose on Quinta Dumar. Okay, Quinta Dumar. Hard to pronounce, but I think it's going to be worth pronouncing. 50 quid win at 12 to 1 with Bet365. Hopefully Luca Morgan will ride. I think he's a good young rider. He'll take off £5. I just love Quinta Dumar's profile. The run last time at Cheltenham, I just think it was screaming to me, go back over 2.5 miles. His form prior to that is really good. I think Kempton, flat track, right-handed, 2.5 miles. A mark of 135. Luca Morgan taking off 5 means he's basically run off a mark of 130. And I think Ben Pauling has had this race in his head for Quinta Dumar for a long time. So 50 quid. Hopefully we'll get 650 quid back for Cancer Trials Ireland. So 50 quid win, Quinta Dumar. So then, now it's time for our latest round of Ante Post picks for the 2022 Cheltenham Festival. And because Gavin stole my brisket last week, I think Gavin, it was a bit like going into a shop and stealing a chocolate bar and realising you stole a Bounty instead of a Mars bar, because Yeah, Brisket didn't do us any favours, did he?
No, now to say I stole it is incorrect. He was just high on my radar, and I was just surprised that you went and were tipping him up. So anyway, it didn't work out too well so far. So
Stealing is no good, I tell you. If any kids are watching, it was a lesson learned. Stealing, don't steal, kids. So anyway, I have 2 to pick this week, okay? So I have 2 to catch up on Gavin, because we have to have a fair game. And the first of those, and there's a recurring theme, which is hard to believe, which is both my tips this week are owned by the same owner and trained by the same trainer. And most viewers will be shocked to hear that trainer is in fact Philip Hobbs. Yes, so my first selection is in the Coral Cup, and it is Capron for Philip Hobbs. I think Capron is a massive price at 33 to 1 with Bet365 for the Coral Cup. He is a horse that has loads and loads of potential, I think. He's running off a mark of 140 at the moment, and I just loved his run in the Great Wood. He was down the inside, and I thought he probably raced on the worst of the ground that day. Probably tapped for toe at a crucial stage of the race when West Cork made his move on the outside. He was still only beaten 6 lengths. He posted an RPR of 142. Loved his 2 runs prior to that. Was an easy winner at Cheltenham on the old course in October. And earlier on in October, he won the Grade 2 Persian War Hurdle, which is always a good kind of clue as to what lies ahead. Time Hill won it a few years ago for Philip Hobbs as well. He's just not probably top of the pops. He's not a Grade 1 or 2 performer, but I think the Coral Cup is the ideal race for him. And he's had a sighter around the old course. He's had 2 runs there, and he's ran a big field handicap like the Great Wood. I think that's going to stand to him. I think a mark of 140 could underestimate him. I think he's a 150 horse anyway. I think he's got about £10 in hand. So my first selection this week is Capron in the Coral Cup, 33 to 1 Bet365. Your thoughts, Gavin?
I think it's a good selection. The 2 horses that were directly behind in the Great Wood, Tritonic and Glory and Fortune, have ran well since. As you said, he was down the inside on the worst of the ground. And here's one for you. 2 years ago, Damn the Company, who somebody on this show, I can't remember who, tipped up to win the Coral Cup.
Gavin Lynch tipped it.
And had finished 5th in the Great Wood, and then went on to win the Coral Cup. And the rating it was 5th that I won the Coral Cup off was 140, which is the same as Capron. So there you go.
Beautiful. And they fought the case to keep it at 140, if you remember.
Yes, correct.
So, and also it's worth noting as well, Philip Hobbs has won the Coral Cup twice in I think since the turn of the millennium. What's up, boys? Do you remember him? How did he win?
Yeah, he flew home. Look, this horse could go to the Martin Pipe, but I think you're right. I'd say he'd probably go to the Coral Cup.
What's up, boys? And Munker Hoston were the 2 horses that Philip Hobbs has won the Coral Cup with. So 33 to 1 with Bet365. Capron is my first choice this week. And my second choice this week is also owned by Jake McManus, also trained by Philip Hobbs. And it is Sporting John in the Pertemps final. I love the Pertemps final. I just think it's a terrible race. It shouldn't be there. But for Ante Post purposes, it's kind of interesting, Gavin, isn't it? You have to try and find something somewhere. I remember a few years ago, Sire de Burley, I think, who you tipped, and I hit the storyteller. Last year, I thought I'd found the banker of the festival, Imperial Alcazar. Unfortunately, he got injured in the race. But this year, I think I found it. I love a horse with a touch of class. And do you know who he reminds me of an awful lot, Gavin? Fingal Bay won this race a few years ago for Philip Hobbs, who obviously went chasing. He was a really high-class novice hurdler. So was Sporting John. And Sporting John, to me, when he won at the November meeting, it looked like he was back to himself. It looked like he was everything that we promised that he hoped he would be that day. I thought he might even be a Stayers hurdle contender when he won that day. He's been disappointing since at the track at the December meeting, but I still thought he just wasn't himself that day. Wasn't really in his comfort zone. I still thought there were enough positives to take from that run. He was up the inside. He's rated 151. I think he's a better horse than a mark of 151. It means that he's going to have to be given weight to horses like Gordon has that are unexposed. But he's touching on Grade 1. Like, he's not that far off Grade 1, so he's not. He's entered in the Pertemps qualifier at Warwick on Saturday, so that's why I had to get him in this week. Hopefully he'll run there. If he's placed there, happy days. He's qualified. And I think Sporting John, 20 to 1 with Bet365. I think he could go off favourite, and I think he could be very hard to beat.
Yeah, he's going to probably have to carry top weight. I had a look last year that the top weights were 151 as well. The boss's Oscar. And Ari were 151. He's 151. So he might have to carry 11, 12. Maybe they'll have a claimer on board. I don't know. But he could be on top weight.
Yeah, I've no problem with that. He's the best horse in the race. He's going to be the best horse in the race, and hopefully he'll come home in front. So Sporting John, 20-1 for the Thames final is my latest pick. Over to you, Gavin.
Tell me this, Dave. Did you ever see the movie A Star Is Born?
I did. I'm quite shallow. I did.
Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper, famous song "Shallow." What was the first line in it?
Tell me something.
No, don't sing it. Yeah, you're right. Don't sing it. I'm going to go for Tell Me Something Girl. She was 6-1 yesterday for the Mayor's Hurdle. I'm disappointed to see she's only 5-1 today, but anyway, I'll still tip her up. I think she's a very nice mare. She has a little bit to find, but we'll go through that in a sec. She won the Mayor's Novice Hurdle last year by 5.5 lengths. It was a really, really strong gallop set by her stable companion. Some of the horses that might be candidates this year are well behind: Sky Ace, Martello Sky, Royal Kahala, who I think might have been injured on the day. She's had 2 runs this season. She was 5th. Not a great run at Punchestown. She was only 5th. But her run at Leopardstown, I thought, was really good. Henry seems to have stated that he's working from March backwards. Henry's horses were not in good form at Christmas, but she ran a cracker. She was only beaten 1.25 by Royal Kahala and Heaven Help Us. She was given Royal Kahala £5. She was given Heaven Help Us £8. She's going to meet them at level weights because it's grade 1 on the Tuesday at Cheltenham. And I think she's got a massive chance. Stormy Ireland is rated 150 and Tell Me Something Girl is rated 142. So she's £8 to make up on her. But the one thing I'll say is that the cheap pieces are going to go back on Heaven Help Us. That made on in the Coral Cup. Stormy Ireland, as we know, likes to lead. So I'm banking on the fact that those two are going to have to go too fast to take each other on. One will want to get ahead of the other one. So if the faster they go, the better chance the Tell Me Something Girl has. So hopefully they take each other on. I think 5-1 is fair value. I don't think she's a 2-1 shot. I don't think she's a 3-1 shot. Like, it's a very, very open race. I was waiting until all the mares ran, including, say, Galway last Saturday. They've all had a run now at this stage. So I think Tell Me Something Girl at 5-1 is decent each way value.
Okay, Gavin, I'm going to be an Upping The Ante viewer here, okay? And they're going to be watching this, and they are listening to every word you're saying, and they are just loving Gavin Lynch this year, right? But I'm an Upping The Ante viewer, and I'm mad excited to see what Gavin is going to tip this week, okay? And then you Tell Me Something Girl, okay, 5-1, which is perfectly, I see where you're coming from, and I think she's a massive chance, and she's possibly the one to beat in that race, okay? But why back her now at 5-1? Why now? Why Ante Post, where something could happen, she could get injured, anything could happen? Like, is she really going to go off much shorter than 5-1 on the day?
I'd imagine she'll go off a 3-1, 7-2 shot. There's no standout mare this season. We've had some brilliant mares in this over the years. The Vroom Vroom Mags, the Apples Jades, etc., etc., etc. But there is none this year. We've said that numerous times in the show. I just think 5-1 is decent each way value. And as I said, I think the key to the race is, I think when you're looking at a race, you have to think about what price am I going to be, or what's the situation after half a mile. And I think Stormy Ireland and Heaven Help Us will both jockeys be told in the parade ring, try and lead. And if they go too fast, I think that's not going to suit those two. And I think if you looked at I looked at the Mayor's Novice Hurdle yesterday from last year, and they did go a mad gallop. Magic Days, her stable companion. And I think if they go too quick again, I think she'll just come from the back of the field and she'll come there tanking, hopefully turning in.
So you'd have no problem backing her now each way at 5-1 rather than wait for threes on the day?
Yeah, I think 5-1 is reasonably good value, yeah.
There you go. And I certainly think you've picked a good one here, Gavin, because I think she's going to be very, very hard to beat. That's Tell Me Something Girl, 5-1 for the Mayor's Hurdle. Of course, last year's Mayor's Novice Hurdle winner. Can she do the double? She's 5-1, Bet365. Gavin Lynch thinks she can. So to finish up this week's show, we're going to have a look at our Ante Post list so far. And Gavin, we will start with you this week. Britska was added to your collection last week, but don't give up. I'm telling you, don't give up, okay? Blazing Cal, 16-1 for the Albert Bartlett. Now I think 5-1 Bet365, am I right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Dice Art Dynamo for the Ballymore. Now, Gavin, I've been getting plenty of questions on Twitter wondering why Dice Art Dynamo did not run in the Laurels of Naas Novice Hurdle, and people are petrified. Is Dice Art Dynamo okay?
I've heard nothing, but obviously I tipped it up because it wasn't entered in the 2-miler at Leopardstown at Christmas. So therefore I thought it was going to go to the Laurels of Naas. It wasn't even in the 5-day decks. So where he's going to go next, I don't know. But Willie, he doesn't have a huge amount of novice hurdlers. He's brilliant novice chasers this season, but novice hurdlers not a huge amount so far. So you'd imagine Sir Gerhard would probably go the Supreme. So hopefully Dysart Dynamo appears in the next month and goes for the Ballymore, yeah.
So could he even run in the 2 mile 6 race at Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival?
He possibly could. That's the obvious race for him, I suppose, unless he ran in the Moscow Flyer this Sunday over 2 miles. But I'd like to see him over, say, 2.5 or 2.6, yeah.
Okay, that's Dysart Dynamo. Fildor, excellent selection, 10-1, put up by Gavin Lynch. Fernie Hollow, exquisite selection, put up by Gavin Lynch, 10-1. Allegory Devassi, 8-1 for the Mayor's Hurdle. Plenty of money for that this week. Ali May for the Mayor's Chase, 8-1. Gallop in the Champs. Oh, what a pick. American Michael Evans too. Sir Gerhard for the Supreme. Gavin, I'd be surprised if you didn't have a couple of winners in there. I'm going to have to hit at least 2 or 3 of my long shots, I think, to beat you.
Look, you never know. The best list I ever had was last year, and it didn't turn out that way. But that's
you sound a bit sour.
Not at all. No, that's racing. You just get on with it. Phil Dorr, you're well used to it after all these years, Dave. Phil Dorr, I think, is a 5-2 shot on proper soft ground, but I think he's probably a 5-1 shot on good ground. He definitely needs a bit of dick on the ground to be at his best.
And but Gavin, of all your selections, which are you kind of most proud of? Which one did you get in at the right time? You got the price, that you did everything right. Is there one that stands out in that list?
Look, with Ante Post, you have to take a lot of chances, and half the time you're totally wrong. But I took a chance with Fernie Hollow that he would appear. I think what makes a big difference if you appear first, especially with Willie having so many superstars. So I remember when the 5-day decks for the 2 mile beginners chase came out, say, on the Tuesday afternoon, and Fernie Hollow and Appreciate were both in it. And I remember when the overnights came out on the Friday morning at, say, 10:40, and it came to the 2 mile beginners chase, and I put my hand over the race, and I just kept scrolling down to see who was going to be appreciated. And then when I got past A, I went, oh, well, he's not running. And I got to F, and I went, oh, great. So that was,
Yeah, I've been known to do that. I used to do that. Do you remember when there was such thing as teletext and CFAX and Airtel? I used to do that for the results. You go, didn't win. It's okay. I'm back to each way. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. But yeah, Fernie Hollow, that was a fantastic pick, I have to say. Okay, so I look at my list now, and of course I'm taking more chances than you. Dusart, 25-1 for the Arkle. We're going to see him at Leicester tomorrow. 2 mile 6, obviously not ideal. Silver Forever, 20-1 for the Mayor's Chase now, 10-1. LA Bell, 10-1 for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Time Hill, 8-1 for the Stayers Hurdle. Burning Victory, 33-1 for the Mayor's Hurdle. Now obviously a good deal shorter. And I just like the way she jumped at Leopardstown. I think if she goes down the Mayor's Hurdle route, Gavin, I think she could have a chance.
Oh, she definitely has the engine, Dave. We've always said that. It's just her jumping. Now, the last day, I think, was her 6th start over hurdles. It's the first time that she jumped well. Before that, she hadn't. Maybe she needs a bit of room and a smaller field, and it was 3 miles that day. But yeah, I mean, if she jumps well in the Mayor's Hurdle, she definitely has a chance, yeah. Yeah,
so Burning Victory, I think, at the moment would be my kind of, selection where I kind of said, okay, that's not bad. It didn't go well, obviously, in the handicap hurdle in Navan, but I think she's got a chance. And Silver Forever will be the other one that I kind of think I got in there at the right time before she won at Newbury. So that's a look at our Ante-Post list so far. So there you go, folks. That's it for episode 10 of Upping The Ante in association with Bet365. Gavin, you're in isolation. What are you going to do with yourself for the week? Any plans? Surely there's some Netflix series or something you could watch?
Well, actually, I'm going to give you a couple of things to watch, Dave, if you want.
Okay, so not just tips, you're going to give us Netflix tips as well.
Definitely. The Man Who Bought Cricket is a scandal about a finance guy. That's on Sky. That's very good. Gomorrah is excellent. It's really good. It's quite gruesome, but it's brilliant. Gomorrah. Gomorrah. It's subtitled, so you have to put in a bit of work because you have to read it, obviously, but it's very good. And the other one on Netflix is Bad Sport. It's 6 different episodes, I think, about like Hansi Cronje. It's all scandals in sport. There's one about equestrian. There's one about motor car racing. So Bad Sport on Netflix is excellent. And you?
I'm in the middle of Stay Close at the minute, Gavin.
And?
Loving it. Stay Close. Oh, it's fantastic, yeah. Jimmy Nesbitt is in it. There's loads of familiar faces that you would have seen. Like there's a woman in it that it took me 3 episodes to figure out who she was, and I was racking my head. She's married to a guy who was kind of one of the characters that's not in it, but she's married to him. And I was racking my head, and then I finally realised that she was Will's mother in The Inbetweeners. Did you watch The Inbetweeners?
I did.
So Will's mother, she's quite hot.
Okay.
It's her, but she's like different hair and she's not really dolled up. So it took me forever to realise who she was. But watch Stay Close. I'd advise viewers to watch Stay Close. Very good.
And Jimmy Nesbitt's horse won the Ryanair, didn't it?
Yeah, Riverside Theatre. Yeah, so there's a nice racing team. And Gavin, last week when I was in your Le Gavlar residence, a lot of people were asking me what was the painting behind my head, which is now just to your left there. What is the painting of?
It's horses walking around Cheltenham in the morning of Cheltenham. That's Cleve Hill behind, so Cheltenham. Everything is Cheltenham in this house. Yeah.
Magical place, Gavin. You should go sometime, you know that?
I should.
Have you any plans in place for Cheltenham this year? Where are you going to spend Cheltenham this year?
Thinking a day or two in Dublin maybe, but nothing too wild. Myself and a couple of pals might go up and spend a few nights in Dublin.
Okay. So at least it's not as bad as Lanzarote or the Canaries or somewhere. At least you're flavouring the atmosphere somewhat.
Yeah, we won't go abroad this year, no.
Would you want to maybe perhaps come to Cheltenham, no?
Yeah, we should. Maybe we might cycle to it next year for charity or something. But yeah, come over for the Tuesday and Wednesday maybe. Okay, we'll see. We'll keep on your case anyway. But listen, that was episode 10 of Upping The Ante. We've got selections at 33-1, 20-1 and 5-1 for the Cheltenham Festival. We're getting closer. We're into the middle of January now. It's edging ever closer. We're looking forward to the 2022 Cheltenham Festival. I've been David Jennings. He's been Gavin Lynch. This has been Upping The Ante. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, if you are having a bet this week, don't forget to gamble responsibly. Only bet what you can afford to lose. Thanks for watching.